Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unravel a truly bizarre medical mystery, one that affects so many people but is honestly almost always completely misunderstood. You know, if you've ever found yourself totally exhausted, laying in bed, but physically unable to stop moving, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're decoding restless legs at night, and more importantly, we're looking at the exact science of how to fix it, completely, in just 72 hours.
I want you to think about how this feels for just a second. Do you ever get this unusual, almost electric buildup of energy in your legs? Usually right there in the thigh area. And does it happen specifically at night, hitting you like clockwork right when you were desperately trying to fall asleep? Man, if you're nodding your head right now, I know exactly how incredibly frustrating and exhausting that is.
It's a total nightmare, right? You're bone tired, you desperately want to sleep, but it's like your legs literally have a mind of their own. They're achy, they're restless, impossible to keep still. You might get up, pace around the bedroom, maybe get a tiny brief moment of relief, only for the sensation to just rush right back the second you lie down. Actually, a lot of people find themselves doing something crazy, like jogging around the neighborhood at midnight, literally just to burn off this strange, surging energy. If this is your reality, take a deep breath. By the end of this breakdown, you're going to know exactly why this is happening to you.
Section 1. A brain problem, not your legs.
All right, to solve this, we need a massive paradigm shift. We have to completely stop looking at the limbs. The perceived problem is that something's wrong with your leg muscles, right? But the actual problem? It's your brain. It's sending faulty electrical signals down to your limbs during the night. See, your nervous system relies heavily on a neurotransmitter called dopamine to stay calm and coordinated. And dopamine actually follows a natural circadian rhythm, which means it drops to its absolute lowest levels at night. When your system is lacking certain foundational nutrients, this normal nighttime dip in dopamine is dramatically amplified, and boom, that results in that overwhelming urge to move.
Let's look at Section 2, the machine. We're talking about the battery, the engine, and the spark plug.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down those missing foundational nutrients using a really simple mechanical metaphor. Think of your central nervous system exactly like a car. First up, we've got the battery. Running along the nerves in your legs are countless tiny biological batteries carrying signals from the brain. For these to work, they need two specific minerals tag-teaming, iron and copper. Together, they create the electron flow for your nerve's electrical grid. Now, most doctors check for an iron deficiency, but here's the absolute secret from the source material. Iron physically cannot do its job without copper. The vast majority of people actually have totally fine iron levels, but their true missing link is the copper. And without it, the battery is completely dead, and those nighttime dopamine dips just hit you incredibly hard.
Next up, you need an engine to power the whole system. Down in your cells, that engine is the mitochondria. And the fuel that keeps this engine humming? It's magnesium. When you're low on magnesium, your nerve cells just simply lack the energy to function right. Even worse, your muscles can't fully relax because magnesium is the thing responsible for flushing calcium out of your muscle tissue. Without it, the calcium just sits there and accumulates, keeping your muscles in this constant state of tension, discomfort, and severe cramping.
But listen, even if you've got a fully charged battery and a working engine, the machine simply won't start without a spark plug. In your nervous system, that spark plug is vitamin B1, also known as thiamine. B1 is the vital catalyst that ignites that entire energy production chain. Without enough B1, your body literally cannot synthesize dopamine. It doesn't matter what other raw materials are floating around in there. And that lack of dopamine leads to lactic acid buildup, nerve tingling, and this profound sense of totally unexplained anxiety and tension that just keeps you staring at the ceiling.
Which brings us to Section 3, the nutrient thief, refined carbohydrates.
Okay, so this brings us to a massive plot twist. You got to ask yourself, why on earth would your battery, your engine, and your spark plug all fail at the exact same time? Why are you suddenly deficient in copper, magnesium, and B1 simultaneously? Well, consider this quote from the source material. The author says, "I had a nightly habit of eating ice cream before bed, convinced that the sugar would help me fall asleep faster." And you know what? It's kind of true. The initial blood sugar spike from a sweet treat or a heavy carb meal might knock you out at first, but a few hours later, that exact same habit absolutely destroys your sleep.
Let me explain why. Excessive consumption of refined carbohydrates. I'm talking sugar, bread, pasta, white rice. It actively drains your body. Every single time your body processes a huge load of starch, it is forced to draw from its own reserves of magnesium, B1, and copper just to get through the metabolic process. So your late-night snacks or your carb-heavy dinners, they are quite literally stripping away the exact nutrients your nervous system desperately needs to stay calm. Crazy, right?
All right, let's get to the good part. Section 4, the 3-day healing roadmap.
Here is the really fantastic news.
Now that we understand the actual mechanics of the problem, we know exactly how to fix it. This timeline right here is your way out. Day 1, cut the sugar and starch completely and begin intermittent fasting to just give your metabolism a much-needed break. Day 2, bring in specific supplements for your engine and spark plug, that's magnesium and B1. And Day 3, restore the copper for your battery using specific whole foods. I really want to emphasize something here. If you actually execute Day 1 and cut out those refined carbs, a lot of people experience a massive, meaningful reduction in that restless leg energy on the very first night.
So the crucial point is making sure you get the right forms of these nutrients. It matters immensely. For your engine and spark plug fix, magnesium glycinate is highly recommended. You want to aim for 600 milligrams daily. The glycinate form is awesome because it supports GABA production in the brain, which is a neurotransmitter that actively quiets your nervous system down. Pair that with 50 milligrams daily of natural vitamin B1. Together, this combo creates a really powerful synergistic effect that restores nerve ignition and promotes incredibly deep sleep.
Next is the battery fix. On day 3, we want to naturally replenish your dietary copper. The absolute best natural sources for this are organ meats, particularly liver and oysters. But, okay, I get it, if those aren't exactly your favorites, pure, unsweetened cacao powder is an amazing, super rich source of copper. A great pro tip from the source material is simply dissolving a tablespoon of raw cacao powder into your morning coffee. It's just a really easy, tasty daily habit to keep those copper batteries fully charged up.
Now, the sources make one thing incredibly clear. Maintaining a healthy, low-refined carbohydrate diet is completely non-negotiable. This isn't just some temporary patch or a Band-Aid. It is a fundamental shift in the fuel you put into your machine. If you run this 3-day protocol, feel totally better, and then just immediately go back to eating high amounts of sugar and starch, well, those exact same metabolic drains are going to happen all over again, and those restless legs will come right back.
And this brilliantly illustrates our whole methodology brought together. Layer 1, the weak battery caused by copper deficiency, solved by liver, oysters, or cacao. Layer 2, the engine tension from low magnesium, solved by 600 milligrams of magnesium glycinate. Layer 3, the missing spark plug from low B1 preventing dopamine synthesis, solved by 50 milligrams of natural B1. And the root cause tying this whole shebang together? Excessive refined carbs, which is solved by cutting the sugar, dropping the starch, and bringing in a little intermittent fasting.
So, we've laid out the entire blueprint. You now understand exactly how the nervous system operates and exactly what that starch has been stealing from you, so I want to leave you with this final thought to really consider. Will you continue to suffer in the dark, jogging around your bedroom at midnight? Or will you take control, cut those refined carbs, and completely change the fuel in your engine starting tonight? The choice and the cure is entirely in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me for this breakdown of the research, and hey, here's to finally reclaiming your sleep.